Welcome to today's online lecture. In this lecture, we'll be discussing about our next thinker, Pierre Bourdieu. Now, Pierre Bourdieu, when you talk about this, thinker, we'll be mainly focusing upon his major concepts such as habitus, field, even the different types of capital. These are the major topics or concepts of Pierre Bourdieu. So he was born on August 1st in 1930 in France, and he's known to be as the famous sociologist as well as anthropologist and philosopher, mainly known for the study of cultural, social and symbolic forms of power. So in this we'll be discussing about different types of capital which he has mentioned, like cultural capital, social capital, symbolic capital, as well as symbolic violence, and majorly he talks about the habitus and field. Okay, so habitus, field and theory of practice, all these are interrelated with each other. How can you relate it with the concept? You can just imagine Bourdieu with the concept. Just let's take an example of a game. Okay, for example, cricket. So in that game you have a particular field, you have different rules which needs to be followed by the players, as well as all of them are fighting to acquire some kind of a position, or they want to win the game. Okay, similarly he has compared that thing with the society, that in the society we have different agents, social agents or actors which are there, and they have different rules in every field. So field here can be, for example, your profession. Let's take an example of a college. Okay, so there they have a different field. Or if we take an example of a law is a field, and there we have a different members or individuals, and they will follow different rules, they have different hierarchy, and each of them are fighting to acquire a particular position or an honor. Okay, so similarly he has given the concept of social actors and how agents act in a society, how they shapes the structure or social structure of the society, and or vice versa, how they are being shaped by the social structure. So this was the basic crux of this theory, so that we'll be discussing in detail, and we'll be doing each concept in detail. Okay, so first we'll be focusing upon the theory of practice. It's a book which was written by Bourdieu, that was outline of theory of practice. So in this he mentioned that, first, he mentioned that what do you mean by practice? He stated that practice refers to be the everyday actions of the individuals, that will include his actions, behaviors, even the rituals, and which are reproduced, basically which will reproduce the social structure of the society. Okay, so when an individual is born in a society, they have different social structures within the society. They have different institutions like family, economy, political institutions, and on the other hand, when they act in those social structures, they also influence those social structures. So that is the practice, how through the process of socialization different skills are internalized within the individuals, and how it led to the formation of those structure. Okay, so he stated that the theory of practice, that there's a difference, some kind of a interdependence between the structure and the agency. So structure here will be the structure of a society we are talking about, and agency here will be the, for example, the individual, the actor, or individual's freedom we are talking about. Okay, so he says that how these social structures basically influences the individual's actions and their experiences. Okay, social structure, how it influences individuals' actions, their experiences. Okay, and in turn also how these individuals, they reproduce these kind of a social structure through their practices. Okay, so for example, you're born into a particular family, how that social structure, or how those the taste, preferences, all those things of your family, they are embedded, internalized within the individuals. So how social structure will shape the individual actions, and in turn also individuals will reproduce these kind of a structure through their practices. They are in a particular field, and how through their practices they will form that particular social structure. Okay, And he argued that practice is not simply a matter of individual choice. Okay, it is not something. For example, he stated that whatever there's for example, we take an example of reproduction or any kind of a production of a practice. Okay, so he said that when an individual is there in a society, it is not always he will give importance to the economic criteria. Okay, so when an actor or an agent performs some kind of an action in a society, that action is not only or solely based upon the economic criteria or the rational criteria. Okay, he stated that it is that an individual whenever performs some kind of action in a society, it is mainly because of the bodily know how, or the it is basically because of the practical dispositions. Okay, so it is not mainly he basically rejected the rational action theory, which states that whenever an individual takes an action, he always calculates some kind of a rational thing, or economic criteria will be attached to it. He will always calculate that rational thing. Okay, he stated that it is not always that like that only. Whenever an individual is performing some kind of action, it is mainly because of his practical disposition, and those practices are embedded or internalized within the individual because of through the process of socialization. Okay, he or she has been taught in that manner only. That is basically his bodily know-how that he terms to be the concept. Okay, so he says that social agents or the actors, they act or they operate in a society basically on the basis of feel for the game. Okay, so you have to always while doing his theory, you have to just